Okay. Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me? Everyone's muted. Give me, okay. Okay. I'd like to call the May Hammonton Board of Education meeting to order. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend any meetings of public bodies at which their interest may be discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Hammonton Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, purpose, and place therefore published in the Hammonton Gazette on May 13, 2020, and mailed to the Press of Atlantic City and posted on authorized premises. May I have a roll call, please? We're going to have to unmute everybody. Ms. Kieko, if you can unmute everyone for the roll call, please. Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Prettyman. Roll call.
Mr. Attanassi?
Here.
Mrs. Bernardo? Mrs. Bernardo?
Here.
Mrs. Burns?
Here.
Mrs. Fallon?
Here.
Mr. Lyons?
Here.
Mr. Pangia?
Here.
Mrs. Polito?
Here.
Mr. Palea?
Here.
Mr. Scipione?
Here.
Mr. Thomas?
Here.
Mr. Mento?
Here. Let us now rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America
and to the
to the
republic
republic
which it
for which
stands,
stands
one
one
nation.
nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we have two presentations this evening, and we'll start with a presentation from Ms. Kieko, the superintendent, on the NJ CUSAC results. Ms. Kieko, the time is yours.
Thank you. I'm happy to report that the Hammonton School District received notification from the New Jersey Department of Education regarding the submission of our New Jersey Quality Single Accountability Continuing Review, which is called New Jersey CUSAC. Our district has been designated as a high performing by receiving a score of at least 80% in the weighted indicators. These indicators include instruction and program with 82%, fiscal management with 94%, governance with 88%, operations with 98%, and personnel with 94%. So I'm happy to report we are considered high performing according to the state of New Jersey. And I thank all of the staff, the administration, the Board of Education, Mrs. Prettyman, everyone that helped us to complete that very arduous task of submissions to the Department of Ed.
Thank you. We now have Ms. Tammy Leonard, Assistant Superintendent, presentation on the NJSLA science results.
The recently adopted NJSLA Science Assessment is administered in grades 5, 8, and 11. This more rigorous computer-based test replaced the New Jersey Ask, which was previously administered in grades 4 through 8, as well as the end-of-course New Jersey Biology Competency Test. The NJSLA for science includes tasks covering 3 science domains: life science, physical science, and earth and space science. In addition, the tests assess science practices such as making sense of scientific phenomena, designing investigations, and critiquing scientific reasoning. The NJSLA Science focuses on the application of science knowledge and skills rather than the memorization of content. The scores in this presentation are for the 2019 administration of the NJSLA Science Assessment. This is the first year that we are receiving scores for these new assessments. A score of 3 or 4 is going to indicate proficiency, and demonstrating proficiency on the 11th grade NJSLA science is not a graduation requirement at this time. We have to report on the number of students who participate in each of the assessments, So this shows the number in each grade level. This slide shows the percentage of students in each tested grade level who achieved a 3 or a 4 on the assessment. The percentage of students in the state who achieved a 3 or a 4 is provided for comparison. We are encouraged to see that the performance of our 11th grade students in the NJSLA Science approached the state average. The expectations of the new 11th grade assessment differ greatly from the end of course biology test that was previously given only to students taking biology. In high school, the sequence of science courses that students choose varies, but in this case, all are being required to take the same science test. This slide compares the percentage of students scoring at each level in our district to the percentage of students in the state. Again, 3 and 4 are considered to be proficient. To meet the federal accountability requirements of the Every Student Succeeds Act, we also report the performance of subgroups in which there are 10 or more students. If there are less than 10 students in a group, the scores have been omitted from the chart in order to maintain student privacy. All standardized assessment data is used to evaluate district instruction and programs. We will be reviewing the spring 2019 NJSLA data on student performance in specific science domains and practices. This information will be used to adjust our science curriculum and instruction as needed to improve the alignment with the New Jersey Student Learning Standards for Science. The NJSLA Science was not administered this year because of the school closure. This presentation will be available on our district website. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Leonard, for that report. Okay, that'll end our presentations from our superintendent and assistant superintendent this evening. We're now at the portion of the meeting for committee reports. I do have a couple brief things to say, but I think tonight though there's going to be a lot of overlap on the reports. So I'm going to let the other members go first, and I'll clean up or fill in whatever we missed at the end. So we'll start off with Mrs. Bernardo, followed by Mrs. Burns. Mrs. Bernardo, from Finance, please.
Okay, as far as the Finance Committee, of course, you all have your agendas and everything that we are doing that coincides with finance. MLR risk management. We have Horizon Dental. We're taking care of, our insurance, Atlantic investigations as far as drug testing. Stephen Nerkowitz will be the doctor. Home health will be Beata and other healthcare institutions. Raymond Colavita, CPA, and Benecards and Horizon are just some things that are on the agenda for your perusal. Also, unfortunately today, late today, we received notice that state aid is likely going to be cut. We will not receive the aid that was promised to us, and there will be a significant cut, I'm sure. However, we will continue to provide the best education possible under those guidelines within the content of our budget. So we are going to have to work very diligently to keep our school in the condition that it is and in the quality that it is as far as our education. So that's it for finance. I would just like, this is in finance, but I would just like to give a shout out to the teachers, the parents, the volunteers, the bus drivers, everyone who worked together to bring some joy into the seniors' life by putting the lawn signs on their lawn. I thought it was a wonderful idea, and I'm sure that they were happy to see them there. Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mrs. Bernardo. We're going to go to Mrs. Burns next, followed by Ms. Polito. And I'd ask the board members if they could please to keep their volume on mute until the reports. We're catching a lot of feedback. Okay, if that would be all right. Thank you very kindly. And again, to curriculum with Mrs. Burns. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Yes, the curriculum committee met on May 21st through a Zoom meeting, at which time Mrs. Kieko presented to the committee a chart of comparative districts and how they are handling the remote learning. And it seems that we're faring pretty well. We're, of course, that's as we go kind of thing. And it's definitely attributed to some of the dedicated staff we have and getting the Chromebooks out to some of our needy students. I too would like to thank the homeschool and the parents that decorated the buses and went on that journey with the staff to help make our seniors' day a little brighter among this dark time. And thank you enough.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Burns. We're now going to move to the Climate and Culture Committee. And I know Ms. Polito has a very good update for us this evening. Go ahead, Erica.
Thank you. Our committee met on Monday, May 18th to finalize plans for the signage that will be placed on the road to excellence. And we're very happy to announce that we had great, everyone came out and we figured out exactly how we want the signs to look, and we're ready to move forward with some beautiful signage that will be very helpful, not only to our community members, but to the people that are coming to our wonderful campus to try and find out where they need to go. So we're pretty excited. I think everyone will love how they look. And I do want to say, since our next meeting isn't until June 18th, I do want to thank the administration for all their hard work. I know it's been a tough time for everyone, the staff members, students, and our parents for a very wonderful but unique school year. Everyone's doing a great job, and I know it's not easy, but everyone's working hard and doing wonderfully. And a big shout out to our 8th graders and our seniors. And even our 5th graders that are moving up to the middle school. You know, I know it's not going to be the graduation that maybe you expected, even though we're trying to do something outside too. But congratulations to all of you as you move on and celebrate these wonderful milestones, even though they're a little different than what you might have expected. Wishing everyone a healthy and happy summer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll now move to Mr. Antonassi, followed by Ms. Fallon.
I have no report, Mr. Mento.
Thank you, Mr. Antonassi. Ms. Fallon, from negotiations and just general school board matters, or I guess you could talk a little bit about the potential changes, but go ahead.
Good. So there's no official report of from negotiations. We did receive word late today that there will be, you know, a little bit significant, perhaps, cut to funding, but we will go with it because that is what we've all been doing and throughout all of this unprecedented time. And I want to thank all of our teachers and our administration and our staff and our students and their families, especially the class of 2020, for doing their best during this unprecedented time. And it's my hope that we will all come out of this on the other side and remember all of the sacrifices we made for each other and for the greater good. So we'll continue to do our best with the resources we have, and we'll continue to put our students first and give them the best education possible. So thank you.
Okay, next we'll go to Mr. Scipione from Community Relations.
Thank you, Mr. Mento. As the 2019-2020 school year comes to a close, our administrators have developed plans for the return of personal belongings and the collection of school-issued materials and equipment. During the week of June 8th, specific grades will be assigned time slots to return and collect materials in an organized manner to reduce long lines while following social distancing guidelines. Please follow the schedules that will be mailed and posted on the district's website. For our 8th graders, graduation signs donated by the Hammonton Home and School Association will be delivered by our middle school staff via buses on June 1st. Our sincere thanks to the generosity of the Hammonton Home and School Association for providing all of our graduates with graduation signs to be displayed in the front yards across the community. The Class of 2020 Senior Awards virtual ceremony will be broadcast at 7 p.m. on June 4th on our district website and Channel 9. On a personal note, I just want to say that we are meeting and hoping to have a graduation ceremony outdoors. We're actually meeting Monday. I want to thank the teachers, staff, and parents for all their hard work and dedication. I want to congratulate the class of 2020, both our high school and 8th grade students. And that will complete my report.
Sam, can I interrupt for a minute?
Sure, Mrs. Burnett.
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
As part of the Finance Committee, one of the most important things on the agenda tonight is the contracts of Mrs. Prettyman and Mrs. Tammy Leonard. So you will find that on your agenda. Also, congratulations to Mrs. Leonard for all of her hard work and dedication to our school district. And of course, as Chair of Finance, I feel so confident in Mrs. Prettyman and working with our budget. She is so very knowledgeable and is doing a stellar job, and is going to have to continue to do so, as you heard about our cuts, and I'm sure that we will survive this. All right, thank you. Sorry about that.
That's okay. That's okay. Okay, we're moving to Mr. Play, followed by Mr. Lyons. Mr. Play.
Thank you, Mr. Mento. Nothing to report from safety tonight. I just want to echo what everybody else has said. And to our seniors and 8th graders, we were striving to give you a memorable year. And I guarantee you 20 years from now, you will remember your senior and 8th grade years. It's nothing like we ever have seen in our lifetimes. And hopefully we can get through this and move forward and give you a nice graduation. We're working on the open graduation, but the virtual graduation, the plans are really nice. They're going to be really great, but we are striving to have an open graduation also. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Play. We'll now move to Mr. Lyons.
I do not have a committee report this evening, but I'll just again echo what the rest of the members have said and certainly congratulate the 8th grade class of 2020 and the senior class of 2020 and our staff. They've risen to the occasion and things seem to be going better with virtual instruction. I would stop to say that those students who are most at risk are more at risk when we're in a virtual environment. Students who are special education students, English as a second language students, really have a hard time and struggle. And I see firsthand these students struggling, trying to participate in remote learning. So I'm hopeful that we can return with some of the summer programs and get these kids back in school, as well as the rest of the students back in school as quickly as possible, because again, the students need school. But again, my congratulations to the class of 2020, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Lyon. We'll now move to our two sending districts. We'll start with Mr. Thomas, followed by Mr. Pangia. Mr. Thomas, please, from Folsom.
Nothing to report, Sam.
Okay. Mr. Pangia from Waterford. Al's
Yeah, good evening.
Okay, he's back. You're good. Go ahead, Al.
Yeah, can you hear me okay, Sam?
Yes.
Okay, so basically, we had our meeting last night, and pretty much, if you recall the conversation that you all just had an hour ago, that's what our meeting looked like last night. So, you know, we're affected by all the same issues. We're back looking at ways that we can, you know, do things with the budget that we thought we wouldn't have to do. So basically, you know, it's going to be an ongoing process for the next month. It's tremendously frustrating for us in Waterford, as I know it is for us in Hammonton, that, you know, every month we have a meeting and we, you know, try to do the best we can given what we're given as far as direction to follow. And then it seems to change almost on a dime. And I think a lot of the problem is that we try so hard on the boards of education to be apolitical, to not look at anything through a lens other than, you know, what's best for the district and all the kids. And unfortunately, I think a lot of times the direction we received is not couched that way. So, you know, basically, I guess we're all in it together. We're going to have to just keep trying to push forward and do the best we can. I have no doubt, as some of our members have already said this evening, that we'll come out on the other side. Of course, we will. This will work out eventually. I'm not sure how, but it will, because it has to. Kids can't stay home indefinitely. They have to go back to school, and people have to go back to work. I would just say that I would suggest to you guys, just like I suggested to the folks in Waterford last night, that we keep a real close eye on what's coming out of the governor's office as far as, the further, budget situations. And basically stay in, good stead with your local tax collectors and watch what the rates are doing. And that's all I can say at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Pangia. Just a couple things. On my report, I'm very happy to say that in regards to our lunch program and food service, that number one, there will be no increase to the cost of our lunch next year to our students. It'll remain the same as this year, flat. And also, I know several board members had brought up and questioned whether or not we would be able to continue to provide the lunch program throughout the summer for our reduced and free lunch students. And I'm very happy to report once again that yes, we will be able to do that. And we will continue to feed all those students throughout the remainder of the summer. So that's a real good thing that despite these cuts, these looming cuts that are coming towards us, we're still going to do whatever we can to make sure the kids get what they need here in Hammonton. Again, I would just like to reiterate the words of my fellow board members and thanking the faculty and staff, the teachers for doing a great job during these very challenging times. I know, as much preparation and planning you can put in, nothing was, going to really make this transition a perfect one from the classroom to virtual. But I do believe in my heart that the teachers are working very hard and trying to get better at it every day. I know myself as a parent, I'm also working very hard with my daughter and son, trying to be sure that they get everything out of it that they possibly can. And I know there's been a lot of concern from people in the public, and I just want to put everyone's mind at ease. I know there's a concern about, a lack of, of education, and just if the kids would be behind moving forward after these last 60 days or so learning virtually. And there's no doubt about it that getting a virtual education is not the same as being in the classroom with your teacher there to help you in a regimented class, format, timely manner, getting up, getting there, a schedule. It's big for kids. And, for those parents who are concerned, we as a district understand that these kids are going to come in next year, maybe where they should, maybe a little below where they should be, not quite where we would want them to be at the next grade level. So our faculty and staff is well in tune and very keen on this fact. And they're going to work very hard in the beginning to bring these kids up to speed. And then we're going to get them going forward. So by the end of next year, we'll have them where they should be. So there shouldn't be a concern from the people in the public. I know, I hear from friends who are mechanics or, own a restaurant or do other types of, and they tell me, I'm not a teacher, Sam, I can't handle this. And I get it. I struggled. I joke that it's very hard for me as a father with older students, more of the social activities and the sports that my daughter's missing out, my son's missing out on. But at the same time, they're at a grade level now towards the end of their school career where they kind of got it. They get it. They know how to do their work. They can almost teach themselves. And I credit that to the hard work of the teachers, the education system we give here at Hammonton, to my wife, Kathy, as well, for getting these kids to where they need to be. But I do remember the times, that third, fourth, fifth grade years with the new math. And it got to a time where it became frustrating for me as a father and a parent trying to help my kids, where a lot of times you can work with your child and you can get the same answer, but you just can't get it the same way. So we agreed to disagree, and we each learned one another's style, how she learned in school, my daughter, and how I learned at school. And by the end, we would get the same answer, and we found that it was a nice way for her to check the work. So we're all humans here. We're all people, and most of us here are parents. So we understand what you're all going through at home as parents trying to educate your kids. So, hang in there. The school year is just about over. We really hope, and I think there's a high probability that we will be going back to school on regular time. And if not, I can assure the public that we will be more prepared as a district to go virtual if we have to next year. This will be built into the teachers' professional development day. And like with anything else in life, you have to get better. You have to get better with time and with practice. And I'm sure our faculty, is definitely going to take it to the next year. Graduation, I've had many questions. I know Ms. Gecko has a prepared statement tonight about graduations. And the biggest question that I've gotten from parents are really two questions. Senior graduation with the virtual, will they also have the live one? The answer to that is yes. We've been working for some time now. You can't just put together a virtual ceremony in a couple minutes. Our AV department, our teachers, our advisors have all been working diligently to put together one of the nicest, virtual presentations they possibly can. And we're going to go forward with that because we really don't know the future. But, like Mr. Ramsey often says at the high school, we can deal with what we control. We know what we control. We can control this virtual graduation. So we're going to go forward with that. And following that sometime in early July, and believe me, as soon as we have a date nailed down, the public will know. It's not going to be a surprise as far as, how many people you're allowed. We're going to let you know all that pertinent information. But after we have this virtual, we're also going to have the in-person graduation. So you're going to have two. And the same is to be said for the graduation ceremony. We have to continue with the virtual, the awards ceremonies. We're going to go ahead with the virtual awards ceremonies. And then again, there will be some acknowledgements at the graduation as well. But everything that's been planned to go on virtual on the graduation dates will continue. Same for 8th grade. To our graduating seniors, who would have thought, March would have been the last day in the building. So I just want to wish you all the best of luck and much success in all your future endeavors. Your life has just begun. And I know this might have been, disappointing or a sad way to end your senior year. But when you look back, like they say in the Marines, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. You learn from these things and you get stronger, and you'll be able to tell a heck of a story to your grandchildren about, the epidemic of 2020 and how you were affected by it as a student. And to our returning students, like I said to your parents earlier, we understand where you're going to come back next year. But at the same time, try to, like my grandfather said, read a book this summer. Stay fresh, continue with your education so you can come back and hit the ground running next year for the class of, for the year of 2021. That pretty much covers my report. I'll now turn it over to Ms. Gecko, who I know wants to give us some updates on the end of the year, closeouts, and moving on from now to the end of the year.
Thank you, Mr. Mento. I appreciate all the words, the kind words that the board and the staff I know appreciates the support that the Board of Education gives them. They have risen to the challenge. This was a challenging time. We weren't giving any notice, being that we don't have all the technology that's available that maybe some districts have. They really have risen to the challenge and have been working extremely hard, 24 hours a day. They answer their phones at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, sometimes if a student needs them. They've gone to houses, made house calls. It's just been a tremendous effort. And this was all done at the drop of a hat. Moving forward, we're making plans for the next school year and what that might look like. And one of the things I'm going to request is some input from our parents as we prepare for the 2021 school year. In an effort to learn from the past and prepare for the future, I've developed a brief survey that will be placed within Parent Portal for grades 2 through 12 and through a remind for kindergarten and first grade students. And that will go out beginning June 8th. Although we know that remote learning cannot replace the actual education that is received in the classroom every day, we value the parental input as we prepare for the 2021 school year and our initiatives for implementing a one-to-one student-to-device program. So I thank you in advance for participating in that survey. In terms of graduation, you're probably all aware that Governor Murphy revised his previous restriction and is going to allow the in-person graduation ceremonies after July 6th. Numerous restrictions still remain in effect, such as the size of the gathering, social distancing requirements, temperature checks, masks, time limits, etc. So we are working to develop plans for possible celebrations that might be appropriate. Although the ceremonies and all of our ceremonies have to be certified through the Department of Ed. So we can't go above or beyond what the requirements are. They won't be the same traditional ceremonies, but we're going to try to do our best to prepare something special. But we appreciate your patience and will provide you all the pertinent details when our plans become finalized. We still again want to recognize our graduates and pay tribute to their accomplishments as we normally would at the end of the school year with our virtual ceremonies. So the middle school ceremony will be shown on June 10th at 6:30 p.m. and the high school ceremony will be shown on June 11th at 6:15 p.m. All the ceremonies can be viewed on our district website, as you are doing this evening, along with Channel 9 in Hammonton, Waterford, Folsom, Monroe Township, Winslow, Chislehurst, and Buena. So we're getting it shown anywhere possible where all of our students are coming from. So thank you for your patience and stay tuned.
Thank you, Ms. Gecko. Ms. Prettyman, do you have a report?
No, nothing to add. Ms. Bernardo gave a good overview of finance. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Donio, anything from our solicitor this evening?
Nothing to report tonight, Mr. Mento.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now move to the business end of the meeting.
I think you have a public comment section, Mr. Mento, at the beginning, don't you?
Oh, public comment, yes. Although this will be a little bit different, if you check your screen, you will see the number there before you. Anyone wishing to be heard, now is your opportunity to call in with a question. We'll give you a couple minutes. And this is the first of two opportunities for the public wishing to be heard. So we'll give you a couple minutes, and if your call doesn't get in on this first round, it'll certainly be addressed at the second portion of the public comment. Have we taken any calls?
Not yet.
Okay. Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to close this portion of the public comment. We'll move to the business end of the agenda, and then we'll go back for the second portion of public comment. And again, anybody, if you have, as we go through this, if you have any questions, please call in now, and we'll be sure to read in your questions into the record. Okay, we'll now take finance items 1 through 28.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Antonassi. Motion by Mr. Scipione. Is there a discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Antonassi,
Yes.
Mrs. Bernardo,
Looks like she's off camera right now. Let's give her a minute.
okay.
Yes. Did you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
Mrs.
thanks.
Yes.
Mrs. Fallon,
Yeah.
Oh,
Mr. Lyons,
Yes, with the exception of 16 and 21. I vote no to 16 and 21.
thank you. Mr. Pangia, Mr. Pangia,
He might be on mute.
Yes.
thank you. Mrs. Polito,
Yes.
Mr. Palea,
Yes, with the recusal on number 12, I recuse on that and any payments involving that.
Young,
I'm sorry, was that a recusal, Mr.?
Yes, just on item number 12.
A recusal for number 12.
thank you. Mr. Scipione,
Yes.
Mr. Mento,
Yes, motion's carry. We'll now move to personnel, items 29 through 49. Is there a motion, please?
so moved.
Mrs. Bernardo, is there a second? Is that Ms. Polito? Second by Mrs. Polito? Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Antonassi,
Yes.
Mrs. Bernardo,
Yes, I'm going to abstain, I'm sorry, on number 41.
thank you. Mrs. Burns,
Yes.
Mrs. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Lyons,
Yes, with an abstention on 39.
thank you. Mr. Pangia,
Yes.
Mrs. Polito,
Yes.
Palaya,
Yes.
Mr. Shipion,
Yes.
Mr. Mento,
Yes, motion's carried. We'll now take items 50 through 59, programs, students, and miscellaneous. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Mr. Shipion, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Burns. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Attanassi,
Yes.
Mrs. Bernardo,
Yes.
Mrs. Burns,
Yes.
Mrs. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Lyons,
Yes.
Mr. Pangia,
Yes.
Mrs. Polito,
Yes.
Mr. Palaya,
Yes.
Shipion,
Yes.
Mr. Mento.
Yes, motion's carried. We'll now move to the addendum. We will take it as a whole, items 60 through 64. Is there a motion, please?
Motion.
Mr. Antonassi, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Shipion. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Attanassi,
Yes.
Mrs. Bernardo,
Yes.
Mrs. Burns,
Yes.
Mrs. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Lyons,
Yes.
Mr. Pangia,
Yes.
Mrs. Polito,
Yes.
Mr. Palaya,
Yes.
Mr. Shipion,
Yes.
Mr. Mento.
Yes, motion's carried. This is the second and actually the first opportunity for the public wishing to be heard to call in. You can see the number 609-567-7053 for this evening to call in with a question or a comment for the board. Are there any calls, Mrs. Brennan?
Not yet.
Okay. This might be a quick one. Mr. Donio, should we give it a minute?
I think you give it another minute, Mr. Mento, as long as the number's been up there and you have someone manning the phone, I'd give it a little bit, but if you don't have any calls, you don't have any calls.
No calls.
No calls? Okay, with that, I will close the second portion of the public comment.
Hold on a minute. Hold on. Okay, if you hold for just a minute, I believe we may have a call from a new hire.
What?
Mr. Shipion, you need to mute your,
That wasn't me.
this is like the watch pot never boils.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Damn rotary phones.
Mm-hmm. Ms. Gecko, while we have a minute and we're waiting for the calls to come in, do you have any information or has it been put out there as far as locker clean out and close out for the year and how the students will be getting contacted, notified how to do this?
Yes. Yes, we have letters that are being generated. Everything's going to be collected except for the seniors, and they got their notifications earlier the last week of school, so the week of June 8th. So we've split them up by grade levels, by locations, trying to limit it to like half the alphabet at a time. So each building is releasing these notifications that will be mailed as well as posted on the website. So I ask parents to be patient and to just follow the directions. They'll be able to pick up the personal belongings that were left here, as well as returning any textbooks or band instruments or safety belts that they might have had, so that we can get everything cleared up and cleaned up for the next school year.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Prettyman, is there?
Yes, so the first call came from Miss Dana Magnani. I believe she's one of your new hires, and she said, "I'm just really grateful to be welcomed to the Hammonton District family, and I am ready to take on the challenges with the ECEC staff."
Nice.
Fantastic.
Very
Welcome.
nice.
Then there could be others. Hold on.
Okay.
Yes, Miss Leonard is taking another message.
Okay. And for future reference, if they're new hires, if we have the capability just to have them speak, them into the meeting, that would be great as well.
Right here. Danielle Spalding. Okay. Okay, this is another new hire, Miss Danielle Spalding. I just wanted to extend a thank you to the Board of Education and Mrs. Kieko for the opportunity to be part of the Hammonton School District.
Fantastic. Thank you and welcome aboard.
Okay.
Does that conclude our public comment, or are you still working on another?
I'll just mention that we had 5 or 6, so it's possible we'll get a couple more calls.
Okay.
Please be patient.
So the new hires, they don't have tenure yet. Let's get that. Just kidding.
Yes, someone else is on the line.
Mr. Scipione seems to be very entertaining right now.
Yeah,
Yes.
what's he doing?
I'm getting text messages from our representative from council.
Does he have a comment that he'd like to make?
He does. He's very happy. Something about President Mentos talking too much. I don't know. I'll have to go over it later. I'm kidding. I'm teasing.
Also, we did, while we're on the town, I don't know, Mr. Teresa, he probably did mention it to you. I know Mr. Scipione likes to take the comedic route when he gives his reports. The town had offered a very nice offer to broadcast and live stream our in-person graduation ceremonies on Channel 9. I know they've been working with the government to get some funding due to the COVID, where there's going to be some upgrades to the television station. They actually had reached out to see if we would be interested in partnering up and doing something moving forward with the television station. You know, I, for one, just as a, one member myself, I think that's a very good idea. That was always a rather large platform whenever I had run for office with shared service agreements. Whenever you can share the cost and share the rewards with another entity, that's a win-win. And it's particularly nice when you can do it with the local government and keep it all in town, save that money for the taxpayers. Ms. Prettyman, looks like you're ready for the next comment. Yeah.
All right. So we've heard from Miss Cynthia Geraldino Madera. and she wanted to say thank you. She was a student teacher here and glad she'll be continuing her educational journey with the Hammonton staff. We also heard from Ryan Marie Ford, and she said, I just wanted to call and thank everyone for the opportunity to join the Hammonton School District.
She's a Hammonton graduate, Sam.
That's great.
Awesome.
That's what we like. We like it when, you know, our local
Sam?
and products. Yes.
I know the local radio station, the new internet station we have now, wanted to do the senior awards or make announcements or actually try to get involved with the graduation as well. So we could maybe do something with them too.
I think that's a great idea, and we should definitely incorporate that into our next graduation committee meeting.
Yep.
Just one other thing, while we're trying to, you know, use up some time waiting for these calls, I did hear from, again, back to the town, I heard from the mayor, and they're requesting a use of facilities for the 4th of July at the school where they're going to have fireworks this year. So that's something nice for the town, that we're going to have a very nice 4th of July fireworks celebration. Again, I don't know if people will be allowed to be here or with the social distancing at that time, how it will work. But the good thing about fireworks is you can see them from pretty spread apart. So that's going to be a nice thing to have this year on the 4th of July. And I assured Mr. Lasasso that we would not do it on one of his prized varsity fields. Mr. Thomas in Folsom, have you guys settled in on a date for your 8th grade graduation, or what was your plans?
We have not. We are meeting next Tuesday, I believe. We're kind of waiting for more guidance before we do anything.
Okay.
I'm wondering if they could save some of those fireworks for graduation night. That would be nice. I don't know how many they have though. I'm sure they're very expensive.
Yeah, and sometimes I think it's the cost of the insurance that
Right.
makes it a greater expense.
Mhm.
Okay, we have a call from Melissa Castone. And she says, huge thank you to the teachers that they have gone above and beyond for her 2 children at West and ECEC, doing Zoom meetings, one-on-one Zoom meetings, and also the child study team, and to the counselors and to those who run the social media to keep everyone engaged. I know that I speak for a lot of other parents when I say that the district has come to task to help us overcome the challenges we are facing at home.
Oh, that's very nice for her to call in and say that. I'm sure it's appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you. And again, it's a tribute to our faculty and staff. And, you know, we often say teachers and staff and stuff, and we do have to recall or keep in mind where it starts. It starts at the top. And I'm not talking about the Board of Education. I'm talking about our superintendent, Ms. Gecko. Again, talk about being baptized by fire. You know, it hasn't been an easy first 2-3 years for you, but I do want to thank you and really acknowledge the hard work and time that you've put in during this this virtual crisis or virus crisis, however you want to say it. Again, there's no textbook on this. And I know not only are you dealing with your own faculty, staff, parents, students. You also have to deal with us pesky board members, always demanding more from you and quicker. And I just want to thank you for your patience and hard work during this time. And I'm sure for you, our July graduations can't get here quick enough, because I'm sure you guys are going to do a really great job. And looking forward to wrapping up this year for next year. So thanks for everything you're doing, Robin. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Mento. I appreciate that. And I can say that this has got to be the longest school year on record.
Yeah.
There do not appear to be any other calls.
Okay, well, we will close that portion of the public comment now. And I will entertain Mr. Antonasi's favorite motion of the evening. A motion.
Motion.
Mr. Antonasi, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Burns. All in favor?
Aye.
Stay healthy, everyone.
Good night.
Stay safe. Good night. Thank you.
Night.